What is up, everyone? Jagan here, and we are back with another One Piece chapter review. And I thought it was a decent chapter overall, definitely some hype moments and heavy setup for next chapter 987, which might be one of the most anticipated chapters of One Piece we've had in a long time. Not only because of the events that are transpiring in this chapter 986, but because of, obviously, I'm sure you guys have heard, the statement of one of Oda's editors that apparently a scene in this chapter made him cry. And based on statements like this in the past, not only for One Piece but just shonen manga in general, I'm not getting my hopes up too high. Not to say it won't be a great chapter, but I think it would be unwise to go into this chapter expecting a scene like that to actually live up to the hype. But anyway, let's get into the chapter. The cover page is pretty damn funny, continuing the Pound storyline. You can actually see Beiji's ships literally sailing away as if they don't even believe Pound is actually Lola and Jafon's father, which is pretty damn funny. I didn't expect it to go like this. I was sure we would get a more heartwarming reunion, a scene with Pound holding his grandson Pez or something of that nature, but I guess we won't. But let's not spend too much time on this cover story. The chapter begins with Dendro and Kinemon, who are both leading different squads entering from each side of Onigashima, planning to meet in the back with the other scabbards, ready to execute the plan to pincer Kaido. But they also notice Kandro on the ground, apparently dead, and that some of the scabbards were crying, and honestly, this whole entire sequence to me just feels very weird and rushed. I understand that it's sad for one of the scabbards to have to put an end to a former comrade after a brutal betrayal, but I truly believe this could have been executed a little bit better. Even from the initial confrontation with Kandro, the odds were severely stacked against him. It was always kind of weird to me how confident he was challenging all those scabbards, and they're no joke. These guys are pretty formidable, and he should know that. And he was challenging them with only ink clones and a couple of gifters supporting him, and then Oda just kind of off-screens the full fight anyway. I don't know, I was hoping that in the last chapter it was possible that Kandro's body was an ink clone, the one that was stabbed, but he's obviously laying down on the ground right there. And this overall sequence just kind of gave me the vibe that he was trying to rush this, that he was just trying to rush a way to get rid of Kandro. I would have preferred to see an actual fight with some intense dialogue between Kandro and the others as well, but it looks like Oda just wants to get rid of the Kurozumi clan altogether, and we'll get into the Orochi stuff in just a bit. But I did like the reunion between Kinemon, Dendro, and Izo. I thought that was pretty cool. So now, of course, we officially have 9 scabbards again, with Izo replacing Kandro in the mix. So we shift back to the execution platform, and Orochi's subordinates, specifically Fukurokuju, who commands 5,000 Obi-Wan-shun, and we finally get an official name for the leader of the Mimawari Gumi, and it appears to be a guy named Hate, who commands 5,000 samurai, and he seems to be perfectly fine with joining Kaido. I was waiting to see what these guys are all about, and I'm still hoping we get that ninja battle between Fukurokuju and Raizo. And as for Haiti, I'm hoping he's cold with the blade as well. I could see him maybe fighting Killer, maybe one of the scabbards, or Zoro as a warm-up potentially. And at this point, honestly, I truly believe it's clear as day that Orochi is dead. His head is still laying there, and I highly doubt there's any secret power with his devil fruit that is keeping him alive. And even if he is somehow alive, what purpose does he serve? He is powerless. He's useless without anyone backing him up. He's not a threat as an antagonist anymore without Kaido and his men backing him. So even if you want to argue that there were unresolved plot lines with Hiyori or maybe Momonosuke, or I know some people have said Zoro, but I honestly think this twist outweighs any potential impact Orochi could have had. I really like how a coward like Orochi, who's been such a bitch for so many years, was using and manipulating others, only for it to come back and happen to him as well. One of the many betrayals in the Wano arc, obviously one of the major themes of the arc, and honestly this one specifically is one of my favorites. It just further emphasizes how much Kaido values power, and given it's the Yonko saga, I really love how this massive battle is being set up for the Alliance to take down 2 Yonko. And of course the Alliance that has been more successful so far is the more powerful ally he's had, right? He values power, and Big Mom can help give him that. And everyone speculated that the Kaido and Big Mom alliance was the one that was going to fall, and it ended up being the Kaido and Orochi alliance that fell. And even Shinobu in the next scene reiterates how Oda knew from the start, even Kozuki Oda knew that taking down Orochi is useless. Taking down Kaido is the only way to save the people of Wano and open the borders. Remember, in the flashback, the narrator emphasizes that their opponent was Kaido. They paid heed to no other. We also see Big Mom just kind of chilling there, laughing in the scene at Nami and Carrot, who of course were captured last chapter, And I still think Sanji's the primary candidate to save them. I really hope he's doing something productive. Hopefully he's having one of his clutch moments, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. So Kaido continues to rub into Momo's face all the events that are transpiring, all the chaos that is transpiring, and how they are failing super bad on their mission to rescue him. And he still can't believe that Momo is the son of Odin. It's pretty crazy how the legacy of Odin continues to haunt this man. He just can't fathom an incompetent and weak kid like Momonosuke to be the son of somebody he gained so much respect for in the past. And I wonder if there's going to be a moment that Momo can actually prove himself to Kaido in some way. He even says that he'll cancel the execution if Momo just simply admits that he is not the son of Kozuki Odin. But Momo continues to stand his ground as he remembers the words of so many people who have helped him in the past. He remembers his mother's words saying that Momo will lead the country as the shogun one day, and Luffy and how he never gives up on his quest to becoming the Pirate King, as well as Odin himself saying what the meaning of his name is, which is the Peerless One, someone who is unrivaled or unequaled. Momonosuke has been destined for greatness ever since his birth. He yells that he will be the one who will become the shogun of Wano, and that a warrior must not cry in the face of others. The entire crowd is laughing at him as he's saying this, but he keeps on preaching. And Kaido seems to have a disgruntled look on his face during this, but of course, the execution is interrupted, which we will get to in just a minute. So we shift back to Luffy and Yamato, who continue to run away, and Yamato is in shock that Momo is actually Odin's son and that he is actually here. I really hope we get to see some interactions between Yamato, Momo, and the Scabbards. I'd really like to see how she would act in the face of people that are so important to Odin, as well as how she would react to seeing Enma, Odin's blade, which I'm sure she would recognize on Zoro. But we see Luffy just casually toss the handcuffs away, which actually ends up blowing through the wall right under the stage next to Big Mom. Yamato has a pretty sad reaction to this, coming to the realization that the handcuffs did in fact explode, meaning Kaido was willing to go to such extreme lengths to kill her if Yamato ever fled Wano. And she basically just officially dismisses him as her father because of this. It also seems Ulti and Who's Who are both pursuing them, which makes a lot of sense. And honestly, given how much effort it seems Who's Who has been putting into this task, he's been the most ambitious one, it seems. His interactions with Keen and implied desire to kill Queen make it seem like he has the most drive to accomplish the task. He really wants to face off against the Calamity and move up in the organization. So I highly doubt, given this, that Oda wouldn't give him at least one confrontation with Yamato. So I could potentially see some sort of maybe a 2-on-2 here eventually, with Who's Who scrapping with Luffy potentially, and maybe Yamato and Ulti get some sort of rematch if they are actually able to catch up to them in time, which we'll see. We also see Usopp and Chopper heading towards the platform as well, and they point out that they see some giant looking creatures. I'm not sure if they're actually just referring to the Yonko from a far sight, but I'm pretty sure it's referring to the numbers, and a lot of people have predicted that Chopper may face off against a number. Monster Point seems to be, the perfect matchup to face one of those monsters, so it would make a lot of sense there. Maybe have Usopp supporting with sniping, so we will see what the future is in store for these characters. And it seems like almost damn near every character is near the stage now. So next we see Zoro and Kid continue to face off against multiple enemies. Oda's really giving them this extensive freaking warm-up before the inevitable fights, and I'd be heavily surprised if they don't confront the stage soon, as I consider them to be the main candidates to square off with Calamities. We also see Law, who seemed to take a different path than the Scabbards from the back, and last chapter I was wondering what his plan is going to be, and I'm still not 100% sure on that. But he does have the perfect skill set, which I pointed out last review as well, to get Momo out of the situation. He has the perfect abilities to do so. I'm not counting on it, but I think it'd be a really cool thing to do. He's also a character who I could see squaring off against Calamity. I'd really like to see Law get a one-on-one W, man. We haven't seen that in a long time. I'd really just like to see a redemption fight from him from the Doflamingo fight. And it would just be really cool to give him this one-on-one fight right before they face off against Kaido, when he inevitably is going to be playing a massive support role, probably going to be the most important strategist in that fight. So after the explosion, Luffy and Yamato seem to be in the vicinity of Big Mom right below the stage. And obviously Big Mom's original reason for coming to Wano was to take Luffy's head. And she actually just reiterated this back a couple chapters ago when she was chasing Usopp, Chopper, and Nami. So I honestly think it's very difficult to get to Kaido at this point with so many people around. I think this main initial confrontation with Kaido is probably just going to be the Scabbards, which leads us to that next panel of the Scabbards finally breaking through the wall and executing the plan that was originally supposed to happen, and that's attack Kaido, from the back and pincer him. And I'm honestly really glad it turned out this way. I think most people would agree that the Skywards likely won't be in the final battle against Kaido. I think that's being reserved for the bigger players like Luffy, Zoro, Kid, Law, etc. Maybe a few others, but I do like how Oda is giving them the first fight, the ones who were actually terrorized by Kaido for years. And you can see the Calamities react to this. Keen recognizes them right away. Queen has another freaking hilarious facial reaction, and Jack points out the Minks, who of course he has history with Anzo. Maybe this implies he's going to square off with them again. They all attack at once. Inuarashi, I think, is blocking Queen on the right side. It's not really 100% clear, though. Izo seems to actually shoot Keen's sword off, which is pretty damn wild. And also Kawamatsu seems to be either mixing against Keen or Jack. I can't really tell exactly who. And Neko Momushi disarms Kaido's club, man. And that's even more wild than the Keen thing. That the two strongest in the crew were able to be disarmed that quickly. And honestly, observation haki in general is sometimes very inconsistent in the series, like we all thought with Luffy earlier in the raid when he got hit by Apu. So you'd think that really wouldn't be the case with top tier opponents like this, especially in a situation this intense, where they know people are infiltrating, where they know something is coming. So maybe just the Beast Pirates aren't very elite in this department. I don't know. But as Kaido is reacting to this, he actually remembers Odin. He kind of has that Odin PTSD still going for him. And if he's remembering Odin just from the Scabbards attacking him, I'm really looking forward to seeing what his reaction will be when he sees Enma. I'm sure he's going to recognize the blade that actually scarred him. And with that, the chapter ends with a pretty clean spread of all the Scabbards attacking at once, with Kinemon and Dendro seemingly to be the only ones who actually are able to stab him. And what's interesting is that they yell SUNACCHI, which of course is what Zoro taught Momonosuke earlier in Act 2, a phrase that he learned in Shimotsuki Village from Shimotsuki Kozubaru. But I highly doubt this did very much damage. Kaido likely won't feel a theme from this, and I think Chapter 987 is being set up for a devastating loss here. This is a hype moment for the Scabbards, but I can see this being set up for the Calamities to show out, maybe kind of just give a whooping to the Scabbards. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not entirely getting my hopes up for the editor's comments, but I do expect something somewhat emotional to happen. Maybe a Scabbard death, maybe some other impactful moment with Momonosuke, but I'm definitely not setting my expectations too high. I did enjoy this chapter, even though I had some slight problems with it, but further implications make me really excited for what's to come. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter, and where do you think Oda is going to go from here. This moment of the Scabbards attacking Kaido seems to be the trigger we all hope for, though I guess would kickstart the war, maybe kick off the fights, kick off all the hype moments and all the action. So let me know in the comments what you liked about this chapter, what you liked about this review, and also what you didn't like about this chapter, if anything felt rushed or off to you. But per usual, I really appreciate you guys checking out this review. A lot more content coming soon. Got a couple special One Piece videos planned, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Also drop a like, and some interactions would be greatly appreciated. I'm Jagan, and I'll see you guys next time.